Welcome, folks, to another edition of Dark Shadow Ghost Tours After Tour.
Stagecoach in Evidence Review
2015.
All right, on tonight's show, we're going to talk about the evidence that we collected at the old Stagecoach Inn. Our group went out. We did a live paranormal investigation. In fact, that investigation's still out there on our YouTube channel, so if you want to go and take a look at that, see if you see anything on the DVRs or whatever, leave us a comment. We can go back and look at it. That's the way that works. But tonight's show, we're going to focus on some of the evidence that we collected. We got quite a bit of evidence during that investigation. We're going to go over some of it. We're going to try to keep this to an hour show, if possible. If possible.
Mission impossible.
Mission impossible. But if you participate tonight and ask us some questions, you could be entered to win a Dark Shadow Ghost Tours After Tour T-shirt. Our last show, who was that? Karen C?
Karen C.
Karen C asked a question. We sent her to one of the first ones out. There's actually pictures we put out there on Facebook. We shipped her the first shirt that went out. So we're giving away another one tonight. That's going to be at the end. So join in and ask your questions, and if we answer it live at the end of the show, we're going to send you a T-shirt.
Make a great Christmas
you'll be entered.
I mean, if we get like 100 people asking questions.
We're giving away one T-shirt. So
yes.
So we went out and we set up and did a live tour at the old Stagecoach Inn in
Palmyra.
Palmyra. They say Diamond
or Palmyra.
It's on a corner 225 and what is it? 14. Yes. Whatever. Okay, Palmyra, Diamond, whatever. It's old Stagecoach Inn. It's a cool place. It's actually the second time we've investigated there. It's the first time we did the live broadcast from there, but I had fun that night. You guys have fun?
Always.
No, yeah. I mean, good ghosts, good friends. You know,
we set the tent up, had the chairs outside, and people were chatting up like crazy. We had a ton of people on there, and it was a good time. Of course,
thank you to the 100 people or more that logged on and made your comments.
That was pretty cool.
We appreciated every one of you.
Now, this location is open for paranormal investigations. When we go to commercial break, we know we're doing the show live, so we do take a couple breaks throughout. But when we do, a screen will come up with the web address where you can contact. What is it? I'm going to get it wrong. So is it thestagecoachin.net? I have it correct on the slide. I double checked that. So you could get a hold of Dave out there, and it's pretty reasonable compared to other places where you can take your team out or just go out with some friends. And, you know, if you need somebody to go out there with you and show you how to do it, give us a call. Whatever, we'll go out. Good time. The first time we went there, though, wasn't so much fun.
It was the end of November.
I made a bad mistake.
It was so cold.
It was cold. Even though we were getting readings of 53 degrees, it was still...
It did not feel like 53 degrees.
Yeah, it was 53 with the heat on.
That's true.
Yeah, so that was the weekend of Thanksgiving. We were getting a little stir crazy and had to go do something. So we went out there and, not going to do that.
Yeah, we are fair-weathered ghost hunters.
I think Dave even mentioned they eliminated November.
They did.
Yeah, it's on
he's closing up right after October 31st.
Right.
It's definitely one of those locations that does not have heat or electric. They do in their safe room.
Well, and even in their safe room, they just had little electric heaters while we were there in November.
Yeah, so it was pretty chilly. But what do you guys think about Stagecoach? Is it a good place to investigate?
It's a nice little place to investigate, especially if you're just testing out water, seeing how this works. It's a nice smaller location.
Yeah, and it does have activity there. It's not like a big place like Mansfield or Hillview Manor or some place like that. But
it's a nice little place.
Small. It's a place that, if you have a group of 2, 4, 6 people, hey, it's an awesome location. Yeah. It's not some place you want to go and take 20 people to because It's not that big unless you go in little groups.
Right. So I'm going to come back to the questions I have for you guys, but and you did have a chance to interview Dave, and I know when we did the live broadcast, Andrew came on and covered the history, but you want to touch on that a little bit in case people didn't catch the live one about the history? And
well, I'll do my best. I'm not the greatest on the knowledge of this location, but it was built in 1832. It was a major stop along the roads and train to Cleveland area. It was part of the Underground Railroad. And what are you saying? I don't know. Mike's over here whispering in my ear, and I don't know what he's saying. It's like an EVP. The Stagecoach Inn was a place where even Abraham Lincoln stopped off. He stopped off and did a couple of his speeches while he was preparing to try to become president of the United States. So he went out there and did a couple speeches, went inside. Dave said he came inside then and had some dinner. I know Dave wasn't there, but I guess it was reported. And then also Buffalo Bill Cody and all his gang. They quite frequently, actually. Oh, Sean's showing you a picture right now of the historical marker, and Glenn's sitting up there. That particular spot is supposed to be where Lincoln gave his speeches. But anyways, I guess Buffalo Bill Cody and his gang, they went there quite often as well. And they went and were supposedly able to get free drinks because they kind of brought in some business when they came to town. So that was one of their things. There was a saloon in there. People could stay there overnight. They had a stage stop. It wasn't someplace where they were going to go spend a week or two, for a big vacation. It was a stop along the way. But it was a nice little spot for them, I guess.
And it was only, at that time, it was only 2 stories.
Correct. It was 2 stories until around the late 1800s. They say 1888. The ladies of the Pythian added a 3rd floor ballroom area and speakeasy. So that was an interesting addition. And so there's a couple of those things. As I mentioned, it was part of the Underground Railroad, and there is a story of one of the ghosts that is supposed to be a resident there, Joe, who was a runaway slave who ended up being hung there because he was dating a white girl. He was obviously a slave. Remember, we're in times of slavery, and that is an absolute no-no. And when people found out about it, she said that he raped her, and they hung him. And hung him right out, supposedly out back on the hanging tree.
I think we have a picture of that later on.
So that is one of the stories there. And we also have a guy who worked in the saloon tavern portion, Ernest, and he was the bartender, and he took over taking care of what was going on in the saloon side, and he's supposed to still be a resident there. And then there's another gentleman who was named Cletus, and he was a stage driver, and he ended up coming into town and leaving on one of somebody else's horses. They figured it out. They went after him. They caught him, brought him back, and hung him. Again, supposed to be out back behind the building. And that's supposedly the same tree they hung Joe from. So a couple of interesting things there.
What about Wanda?
Wanda, she was somebody who was more recent. Wanda was one of the owners in the 1970s, 80s, I believe. She lived on the 2nd floor. Apparently never really used the 1st floor, never used the 3rd floor, but she kind of used that 2nd floor area and the living spaces there, and she's supposed to haunt here as well. But funny enough, we didn't hear anything from anybody about James Jones, the actual owner of the facility back in the 1800s who ran it. He was sheriff of the area. He owned the house. He called it Jones House. And he apparently doesn't haunt the place. We didn't hear anything about him. But what I found very interesting was Dave mentioned that he would have everything with Jones House written all over it. The flatware, the dishes, everything. But Dave says they can't find anything anywhere that has Jones House written all over it like that. So they're actually looking for things. So if you know of any, if you have any, get in touch with Dave also. He might be interested in getting that to the owner of the building, who's the current owner.
Now, also, too, before we get too far into this, if you're a group that goes out and does an investigation at Stagecoach, we do have this listed. I apologize, I don't have the number right now, but it is listed in Panic D. And we have some information in there from our November. And do you have the number there?
For information?
No. Panic D.
Oh, the Panic D number.
No, but if you go out and you do an investigation, you collect some evidence, or if you have some debunk evidence, please get a hold of us in Panic D, because we are actively updating those records, and we always do, any location. But I want people to be aware that Panic D is out there. It's been out there for a while, and there's a lot of information out there about paranormal locations. I know there's a big buzz on the internet.
There's like
about somebody starting one up. That's great. Go ahead and do your thing. But we've been out there for a while. And
there's
have a lot of
700 and some
stuff.
locations.
Over 700 locations documented in there.
So if you're looking for a paranormal location database, Panic D should be your number one stop.
Yeah. And we don't charge anything, and we don't have a kit.
And if you have evidence, you just submit
please.
it, and we'll add you to the database.
Send us an email. We can set you up an account, whatever, that kind of thing. And you can contact us through the website and stuff like that. Now, there is a phone number if you want to get a hold of Dave to set up an investigation. It's 330-356-2203. That is 330-356-2203. And you can give Dave a call and see about availability and set up your own investigation. Okay, so let me get back to my questions here. Thank you for our tour
questions.
guide.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, so based on our investigation in November to the one we just did recently, which was a couple weeks ago?
The 13th.
13th.
13th into the 14th morning.
Yeah. What did you feel? Was there anything that you felt was different?
It was warmer. It was so cold in November that I really could focus only on being cold and trying to warm myself up. It really, to be honest, it was just way too cold for me. This time I actually felt like I could pay attention to what was going on, and I wasn't frozen.
What about you there, Mr. Mike?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked. When we were there in November, I don't know if it's because it was so cold and there wasn't a lot going on and the spirits needed a lot of energy, but I really felt heavy, like a heaviness when we were there in November. And I didn't feel that this time. Not saying that we didn't come up with things, but the place just seemed like it had a different vibe, and whenever you're out there investigating for a while, you realize that, a place changes on a daily, fashion. But I mean, it seemed a little bit lighter this time.
Yeah. But, Dave even mentioned it when I was talking to him, doing the little interview I did with him to try to get some information about the building. And he really wanted people to know that this is really early in ghost hunting activity there. They really didn't ghost hunt there until about a year and a half ago or so. And so maybe that whole heaviness that you felt was, they're like, oh my gosh, what are these people? And so now they're like more comfortable.
Was that
with
their
it.
First year then when we were there in November? So that was their first year.
That was the end of the first year.
Well, see, and we had that theory too. The same thing with the J.C. Thompson building. It was like we were like, the second group, second group that did a full investigation. And then when we went back, it was like different, but other people were in there. And our theory was the more that you investigate it, they get either more comfortable with you or it stirs up the activity or something. So, so that kind of like adds to our theory there. Plus it was freaking cold.
It was just so cold there in November.
Did we say it was cold?
I don't think we mentioned it was cold there.
All right.
Yeah.
So based on our investigation, the way we put it together, this place is a small place, and sound does travel. You can even hear, the cars going by, and it was just loud. But the way we did that, what we did was we broke up into 2 teams, and we tried to cover without having contamination. And it's not easy to do in that building. But based on the way that we did that, and we set up the cameras, and I'm going to show you the camera views here in a second, the way we had everything set up. But do you think we could have done anything different? Like if we go back again, what would you suggest that we would do different that would have been maybe better? Or I thought about having a tent outside and having where people weren't sitting in the safe area, but going outside helped. But
it helped a little bit, but not as much as I would have liked to. So
yeah,
I'd
we have
say
to get
maybe
that
go further
RV
out,
so we
or
could just go sit in the RV.
You know,
Yeah.
the only thing I would change if we did it again is I like the idea that, we did the investigations, where, we'd have a team on the first floor, team on the third floor, second floor, basement, and switch around out there. I don't think it was really that bad having 2 teams on the second floor together, but, it makes it kind of difficult whenever you're examining your evidence, because then you got to be a little bit more in tune with what you're listening to, and it can be a little bit frustrating. And
So maybe when we did that second floor, like at the end when we did the second floor, we did it
together.
right.
But if we would do it again, I would probably say, don't have both groups on the second floor at the same time. One on the second floor.
Yeah, I think basement, second floor,
You
first floor, third floor. And then if there's ever any investigation where anybody is investigating, but they're not outside, or, there's others outside or in the safe room or whatever, they have to whisper. You can't just talk quietly because you can hear them. I remember when I was up on the second floor, on the second floor, and it was just me and Andrea, and it was before we really got started. You guys were all still setting up things, but people online said, hey, there's something, and we went to investigate. It was funny because I was really listening to you guys' conversations downstairs and outside. They want to know what they're saying. They're sad because they can see you, but they want to know what you're saying. And
the thing is about the building too, it's
too.
pretty much stripped down to bare brick.
Yeah.
There's like hardly any
Insulation
Yeah,
or anything.
or
It's just
it's
brick.
just-
brick and wood.
yeah, it's stripped
Brick,
down
wood.
because they
floors,
are
that's it.
renovating it. There's like no soundproofing or anything. But okay, so based on the claims that we heard and the evidence that we collected this time, what do you think? Do you think we validated some of the claims?
Definitely validated
Yeah.
footsteps.
Yes. Validated footsteps.
We tried the door and the
Huh.
Bible falling over.
They didn't do that
They didn't
for
really.
us the last time either.
No.
I think that this time through, as opposed to last time, we got a whole lot more as far as EVPs. Like they were more apt to want to talk this time, and it was more than just Joe the slave. We talked to a lot more. We got responses from a lot more of the players this time.
Yes. Yeah, wide range of
Like all
entities.
the players, I think, except for Mary, jumped up. And I don't know about Ernest, but
Yeah, I didn't
I thought we
really-
heard from Joe and Cletus and.
I think
Wanda.
Ernest down in the tavern was kind of quiet. Maybe he had the day off or something.
Maybe
Yeah.
they were closed that day.
Or he was upstairs in the bordello.
Maybe.
True. So Tonight we're going to be playing some EVPs.
We're going to try that out.
We're going to give it a shot. We're actually going to play them on air here. Okay. So this is the first time we've done that. We are broadcasting live. So I want to give you a couple links that if you don't hear them through the broadcast, you can actually bring up one of two different pages. They're on both. If you go to divineparanormal.com and go to EVP collection, the listing of our EVPs are there. Or I also posted a link in the resources to the actual investigation report from our investigation, and they're listed under evidence as well. As we go through these, I'm going to provide you the EVP number so you know which one we're talking about. And like I said, if you don't hear it clearly through the broadcast here, you can play it on your own computer just by clicking on the EVPs.
Or if you're like me and you just need to listen to it a few times,
yeah.
you can.
Some
do
of
that
them
too.
you might have to have headphones. I mean, if you've captured EVPs before or listened to them, sometimes they're crystal clear. Other times you got to really strain.
And sometimes
it's a mixture.
You just hear something, you go, wow, you know what? That's pretty damn cool, and you want to sit there and share it with your buddies whenever they come over. I mean, you'd be
Or
surprised.
you'd be like Mike and make it your ringtone.
Oh yeah, I hear something really great, and I can't wait to sit there and tell somebody, hey, you got to hear this. So don't be afraid. I mean, there's no charge for it. Ring them puppies up and tell them, listen to this.
All right. So first, let's get started on our investigation. Okay.
Oh.
All right. So what we did, and again, out on our YouTube channel is the investigation. There's 4 hours? Where we go? 92, 10, 11, 12. 4 or 5 hours that you can actually go watch the DVRs. We pop in every once in a while, tell you what we found. It was really cool because people were popping on while we were on break or we were investigating, and they were saying, hey, we saw something in the Bible room, or we saw something in the tavern, and we'd shoot over with the camera and snap pictures. And right before we even got started, somebody saying, we saw something moving up in the Bible room, and Marianne and Andrew went up there, and they started right off. And so that was really neat.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to do another one. It's going to be really cool. But I want to show you, here's our, here's the way we had the camera set up. The top section there is actually the third floor. So when we talk about the third floor, we had a camera. Originally, it was set up right there where it's at, and then we ended up moving it closer to the stage.
Halfway. It was about halfway towards the stage.
Yeah. The middle one is actually the second floor. Where in the hallway there, we had what we called the walnut cam. And then there's a little room off the side where we put a camera, called it the Bible cam. And then we'll talk about a family area. That's to the right. We didn't have a DVR camera there, but we had the field camera there.
Right.
And then downstairs on the first floor, to the left there is actually what they call the safe room. So the actual DVR was in there. But to the right is the actual tavern. We had a camera in there. And then in the middle there's the big staircase that goes up to the second floor.
Correct.
Okay. So that kind of gives you the layout of the building and how we had the camera set up. What did you think about the setup of the cameras? We pretty much covered most of the place.
Yeah, I think that we, based on what we heard and saw, we might want to move a DVR camera to the second floor in the what I call the bathroom room.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't really the bathroom itself. It's just the bathroom is in a bigger room, and that room we kept hearing things we thought over in that area.
Yeah.
So that's something that maybe next time we might want to add some things to.
We were doing, Mike and I were doing, I'll talk about this later, but we were doing an EVP session in that family room, and I was sitting, you were facing that doorway too.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting in the chair, and the second time we've been there, I always think there's something and lurking in that room.
Laura
But, you know,
Laura kept saying the same thing, and
we
Andrea
should have
was
put
sitting
another
in
film
front.
camera in there or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Andrea was sitting in front of that door basically, and she kept looking over her shoulder. And you can even see it in some of the field camera shots. You could see her looking over her shoulder. So definitely want to add something there. But other than that, I think they were pretty good.
Now, if you don't get anything from the show tonight except for this one little tidbit, I don't care who you are, but please listen to this. You listening? You do this, so you don't care, okay? When you walk into a place, have your recorder running. Whether you're investigating or whatever, hit record, tag it, here's where I'm at, or here's where I'm going. Because the first one that we're going to share with you, Marianne actually captured this during setup. This is when they were putting the cameras out. It's number 53.
Okay.
Give us just a second. She's got to find it. But like I said, you just turned on your recorder because you heard Mike carries it with him all the time, keeps it recording.
Yep.
So you learn how to do the same, right?
Yeah, I definitely had it running the whole time.
So you had the recorder running, and we were running the cables and the cameras, and you and Andrea were walking around taking base readings.
We were.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so this EVP is around the bottom of the main staircase, like heading towards the basement.
Yeah, we were rounding the back side of the staircase to go down in the basement, and we started to go downstairs. We opened the door, we went down a couple of stairs, and Andrea's like, "Oh, it's much cooler down here."
Yeah. So go ahead and play it. We're going to talk about it a little bit, and then we'll play
All
it.
right. That was 53.
It's EVP number 53.
6. Can you see steps?
Yep.
Okay. I hear running water. 0. 72.3. Watch this one. Steps missing part of the plan.
So did you guys hear that?
So after
Andrea was
says
talking.
0,
Right after 0.
goes,
Yeah.
I know. And then
I thought I heard I know. Sean thought he heard a little bit more into the night.
I'll tell you what, whenever I listen to this, I hear the I know. I thought I heard a little something behind it. And so I usually listen to all my EVPs with a pair of headphones. And with the headphones on, I hear I know into the night.
so it's right after she says 0. Listen. Go ahead.
You should
Play
at least hear the I know.
6. Can you see the steps?
Yep.
Okay. I hear running water. 0. 72.3. Watch this one. Steps missing part of the plan.
Did you hear the I know?
Yeah. So again, like I said, if you don't get anything else from the show, always have that recorder running because you never know when you're going to catch something, right, Mike?
Absolutely.
Right.
And Andrea is good for that. Everywhere she goes, she always seems to pick something up while we're doing the pre-tour or while we're doing setup. So
Yeah, but we always make her put it back down. Oh,
All right, so let's shoot up to the 3rd floor. Okay.
3rd floor.
All right. Now, first, before we do that, I'm going to show you this picture.
Yes.
That's the picture of the hanging tree. It's out back behind the stagecoach.
Yeah, that's
And-
what they're. So
Let's see if we flip over here to the
where are we
3rd
flipping?
floor.
Oh, the 3rd floor.
Yeah, the pictures sometimes not.
There we
Okay.
go.
So this is up on the 3rd floor. We got some pictures there. Now, if you were watching this live or if you go back and watch it,
Top right corner is what you would have seen, pretty
Yeah.
much.
yeah, and then we moved the camera to kind of focus on the stage to that rocking chair, which is one of the claims that rocking chair moves. So we were trying to capture that. But if you look on the bottom right there, when Mike, Lee, and myself, we were up there, we were sitting at that table. And while we were doing our session, I laid the K2 down on the table, and it was going like between 2 and 3 lights the whole
Just
time.
kept flickering the whole time.
Flicker. Like it was like an energy field, something. So I tested, recorders. What's setting this thing off? I couldn't find anything. We're sitting there. We're doing the EVP session. I have actual video of the entire session. I went through my recordings. I really didn't pick anything up. I went through the video recordings. I didn't really pick anything up. Did you guys pick anything up on the 3rd floor?
Not really, but it's like like we were discussing. It was like somebody sat down and pulled up a chair and they were playing poker.
Playing cards with us, and we were asking, what kind of cards you want to play, and you want to drink and all this other stuff. And then right before we were finished, that K2 meter just went down to 1, and it never came back. And I thought, okay, maybe the battery's dying. Something's wrong with the K2. So I took the walkie-talkie over to it. That's a good test for a K2 meter, and it shot up the red. So I know the K2 was working. But it was like somebody just got up and said they're done, and they left.
Yeah, it was just a sore loser. So, I mean, I took all his ghost chips.
I know. It's like, yeah, we're done. Now we have pictures. Excuse me. We have pictures of that when it changed, and the video doesn't quite capture. It was dark. I didn't have it close enough, but it was the weirdest thing, and it kind of boggled my mind for about 5-10 minutes. I couldn't think what is causing this EMF field, and then all of a sudden it goes away. It didn't make sense to me whatsoever, and it was just kind of weird.
Yeah, it was just going, then like it just got up and walked away, and that was it. Game over.
Now, when you guys went up there on the 3rd floor, you guys were doing what were you doing? Flashlight sessions and.
Yep, we tend to do a lot with flashlights.
Flashlights and
yeah. We had
catch
K2s but mostly we did pictures and K2 and flashlight.
You guys did get a EVP up there though.
We did.
You did. Mm-hmm. We're gonna do this again. It's EVP number 49. I think keep shutting off on me.
Well, yeah, it doesn't like me to do nothing. You said 49 for me, huh?
Yes.
All right.
EVP number 49.
Okay, here we go.
Ready? Turn it off when I count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Keep going. Keep going.
So I guess they didn't want to turn off the flashlight. We tended to have some issues with them turning them off. They love turning them on, but we had to kind of again beg. That seems to be something else I noticed.
Of little kids there.
Dave said that there were 2 kids, a boy and a girl,
to me,
a
it sounded
teenager.
like a little girl.
I thought it sounded like a little girl, and something else was that somebody else in your group caught a EVP that has a sound. It sounds just like that kid.
Just like the same.
Yeah.
No.
Because when I read you guys' EVPs, and I can't remember which one it was, when I was reading about them and I listened to yours, I posted in our discussion, said, I caught the same sounding person.
Now, what Marianne is talking about, just so that you guys know, we go out and we do these investigations. Dark Shadow Ghost Tours goes out and does the production and brings people, shows them how to do ghost hunting and how to review their evidence and stuff like that. Panic D is the database where we put stuff. But Divine Paranormal is actually our paranormal group. And the way we run things is we go out, we do an investigation, and we have that case manager. What you guys don't see is what's behind the scenes, and that's a collaboration where we take stuff and we post it, and we let the group decide, listen to it, make comments, and we discuss it. If it's something that we can't agree on, can't explain, maybe it's this, or we try to debunk the stuff before we put it out there. Because on this particular one, I listened to it over and over and over just to make sure it wasn't another team member or whatever. But if you listen to it with headphones, it's like at a different, I don't want to say dimension, but it is like the echo of it is like totally different.
Octave.
Yeah. Okay. Play it again, actually, before we move on.
All right.
Ready? Turn it off when I count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Keep going. Keep going.
And you guys didn't hear that? No.
No, we didn't hear
You
it
didn't
say
hear
no.
Okay.
No.
And that's another thing too, is like, you know, I if we hear sounds or noises or something, we tag it so that we, you know, Sean cough, Sean's walking, Sean cough, Sean cough.
Usually it's Sean cough or traffic.
Or, you know, my stomach growled. Or whatever,
Yes, stomach
that type of
growls
thing.
are a biggie for us.
Sean's bag.
Sean's bag.
Yeah, he's
Sean's
for his
walking
bag
again.
again.
Sean spit. Okay. So that was kind of cool. Third
Yes.
floor. Let's see. what
It's
we
a
have.
really nice big wide open space too, which is nice. That was their dance hall portion, their speakeasy
Mhm.
area. And there's claims that in that area you can hear lots of different voices when you go back and listen to EVPs, but not when you're there. And we didn't hear that one. It wasn't lots of them. It was just one, but
Now, we're not going in any particular order here because when you guys did the third floor, where were we at?
First floor.
We were in the tavern,
I think you guys were in the tavern.
Right. And then we flip-flopped or something.
We
like that.
started out in the third
We were
floor,
third,
and
they
then
were
we
in the
went to the
tavern,
tavern.
then we flipped. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're not doing any particular order. We're
No, just
going
kind of by room.
But when you guys were in the third floor, no, when you were in the tavern, you left the password. When we were in the third floor, we left the password, but
We didn't get
I
any.
didn't get the password.
No, we didn't get,
We
no
didn't get
response.
any-
They didn't want to
Response
play
either.
with us on it, but
No.
that's kind of a cool thing when you have a couple groups kind of leave those
Mhm.
passwords. So let's go down to the tavern, okay? Which
let's do
was like completely opposite. I mean, to me, it seemed like the tavern was closed.
It definitely seemed like the tavern was closed. We weren't really getting very much of anything in the tavern. I sat in that rocking chair that's sitting right there next to that blue drape. That's where I sat, and I kept rocking all night. And, you know, I even mentioned to Laura and that because we had all of our recorders on the floor. And I said, can you guys hear me rocking? And they're like, no, you're rocking? Because it was dark. I mean, we do this in
Yeah.
the dark.
It was
And
really
I said,
dark.
I hope that all these EVP recorders don't pick up me rocking on this the whole night, and that's gonna like ruin everything. But we didn't even hear it rocking, so that was interesting to me.
I was going to put a bigger picture, but I just want to point this out. That was kind of a cool trigger object Andrea set up there.
Top right.
Yeah, the top right. It's like a bottle. Was it whiskey?
Yes.
Yes.
It was a bottle of whiskey with a shot glass, and then she put baby powder around it.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, nobody came over.
No.
And when we
they
were down
didn't.
there, I was the bartender. I offered.
Well, maybe
served
Ernest
whiskey
was
and
mad.
whiskey.
Maybe Ernest was mad at you because you took his job.
That could be.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when you guys were in the tavern, though, well, when we were there, we didn't get anything, with the exception when we first went down. This was kind of funny. I didn't write down the question that you asked, but we'll just play this once. Number 44. This is when we first got down there.
Can you tell us your name?
Someone quiet.
So that was a response on the Ovilus with my cast. Can you tell us your name? Someone quiet. And that was it.
Yeah.
We got
So
nothing
did
else.
they want you guys to be quiet, or were they
I-
saying that they were someone quiet?
That's,
I
We
don't know.
that's what
That was it.
kept on mentioning. You know, after you heard that, what do you mean? Gee whiz, why are you telling me to be quiet? I mean,
And there was nothing else. Now, when you guys were down there, you got some stuff here. Do you
We
remember?
It was pretty much the quietest room of the house that we experienced. But Andrea kept kind of hearing the sounds of maybe water running. I was hearing something, you know, and I thought it was kind of maybe a bug outside or something. And they're like, no, that actually sounds like water, what you're making with your sound. So they thought maybe there was some water running. We tried to do flashlight. It didn't really like flashlight in there. But we did have the flashlight respond when Andrea was questioning about the whiskey and other
Beer.
drinks. and
Yeah,
got nothing
sure.
with whiskey, but when she said something about beer, it lit up. So she said, "Oh, I must have brought the wrong trigger object." So
But like,
yeah, I should have brought some beer instead.
but
She
Laura,
brought whiskey.
Laura, there's actually a picture out there of Laura. Laura was, I heard when we were switching, Laura was getting feelings of cold, whatever. But there's a picture of Andrew or somebody, one of you guys must have took it, and she looks a little shook up. Like she's like cold. So that's kind of interesting too.
Yeah, she said she got.
But you guys
really
sat in the
cold.
same spot though, didn't you? As Laura, like on those chairs.
Yeah,
She
Yeah.
did.
I did.
You did.
I wasn't allowed to sit down.
You weren't allowed to talk either. They wanted
Yeah,
quiet.
they wanted to be quiet.
That's right.
Okay.
Did you guys? You said you
I
sat in the
was
same
not
spot.
cold.
You didn't feel cold.
We did get though during the I think it was one of the breaks. Some of the viewers were saying they were seeing orbs moving, balls moving in that room. So I shot over with my camera real quick, trying to catch something. But
I didn't see
yeah,
anything in there.
we looked through those.
I didn't see anything in the photos,
No.
unfortunately.
Okay, so we're about halfway through the show here, and we're going to take a quick little 5-minute break and get some coffee. We are coming to you live, so we're going to have to take a little break here, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Now, remember, if you have questions, please ask them in our chat room. We have Lee over there that's manning the chat room, and if we answer it on the show during our last session, you could be entered to win a T-shirt. So ask away. We will be back in about 5 minutes.
All right.
So stay
We'll
tuned.
be right back.
Cheers. Okay, folks, we are back to Dark Shadow Ghost Tours After Tour.
Stagecoach in Evidence Review Edition.
2015.
Alrighty, we've been going over the evidence that we've collected during our live investigation at the Stagecoach Inn, and we're going to continue going with that. And we got some questions coming in the chat room. Keep them coming for a chance to win that T-shirt.
Yep. A lot of good conversation going on in there.
Well, so, I asked a question when we went on break. I said, can anybody identify Glenn in the show? And I did get somebody who said, oh, yeah, it's that little guy in the corner. But he's also here, and he's also back here behind Mr. Mike.
And he's on our shirt.
And he's on all of our shirts.
Yeah. Mary Ann's real excited about
love
but she won't let me put him on our new car since it's a lease. But
right. But Glenn is so cute. I love our little mascot.
Okay, so let's get going here. I was getting yelled at for taking too much time. All right, let's talk about the Bible room next. Okay, quite interesting little room. Why don't you tell us about the Bible room there a little bit?
All right, the Bible room is upstairs on the second floor. This is also the room that Joe is supposed to frequent most. He's the runaway slave, and the reason that he really frequents that room the most is because there's actually the little door to the space for the Underground Railroad that is in that particular room. But that doesn't really say why it's the Bible room, huh? Up on the up on the mantle.
No. Don't say why it's a Bible.
Oh, don't say?
We'll see if that's a question.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a couch in there and a couple chairs and things like that.
You know the where that little door is.
Yes.
There used to be there was a little false wall there.
Mm-hmm.
So when the slaves came in, they would all huddle up in there, and it was really a super small, tiny, cramped little hole.
Yeah, that's the one on the right-hand side there. You can see the tiny little door in the picture Sean just brought up.
I don't know if we have a picture. We do somewhere. If you go to it from Painting Tea, it's the opposite side of that door where it's actually outside, and you can see the little space where they huddled in. But it's actually quite interesting.
That room, they had 3 rooms that they rented. That room, the Bible room, was a 10-cent a night room because it had a fireplace in it. The other 2 rooms out on the second floor, they were only a nickel a night, but they had no fireplace.
That's interesting.
And that's where, the ladies would go from the bar and, take the guy upstairs and figured, hey, if he was going to spend 2 bits, the least he could do is cough up another nickel.
Did we do that? We were going to go into a bidding war. We didn't do that.
We forgot this time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, the Bible room, right before we started broadcast, we started broadcast, and then people were coming on the chat room saying they were seeing stuff up in the Bible room. So you and Andrea shot up there and started investigating while we were starting to get our wits about ourselves and doing some meditation. And we weren't eating pizza yet, but we were chilling out, getting ready to
think about it.
To what we were going to do as far as the game plan. You were like, "Oh, we're going." Somebody said they saw something, so you guys went up there.
We did. We had to get this show on the road.
Yeah, had to get moving. So, what'd you guys get when you were up there?
When we went up there, we heard some footsteps,
which is one of the claims.
We did. At first, we actually thought it was one of you guys coming upstairs and going over onto the far side. And we actually asked you, hey, is that you guys? And nobody responded to us. So we thought that you guys were ignoring us, but it turned out you guys didn't come up there at all. So somebody else left those footsteps for us.
But you didn't hear them in the room. You heard them out in the hallway.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to show you this picture. Where she's talking about is right in this area.
Yeah, I was in that little tiny doorway in there.
So in that doorway right there is the Bible room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, And then we had the walnut cam here.
Yep.
But you guys heard the footsteps out here, correct?
Out there, like they were going to the other side of the, towards the living
Yeah,
room.
so remember that because we're going to come back to that. But let's see if we could hear those footsteps. And if it doesn't come through clear, it is EVP number 50.
Number 50. All right, let's check out number 50. Thank you, Mike.
If you want, why don't you come down and sit on the couch with us? Let's talk. It's probably been a while since you got to talk to anybody.
There's somebody talking down in the safe room. Did you
You
hear
can hear it clear with headphones on.
Yeah.
You hear
Towards
it, almost sounds like boots.
Yeah, towards the end you hear more of it with near that
Yes.
car.
But like we were saying about the sound traveling, we were outside of the building. So that's kind of like, some of the challenges we had. Go ahead and play it again.
If you want, why don't you come down and sit on the couch with us? Let's talk. It's probably been a while since you got to talk to anybody.
And we weren't in there.
Yep.
We were outside.
You guys were outside partying.
So,
Didn't
that's
invite
but
me.
remember that we're going to come back to this. Now, we're going to take a little time warp here because we're not going time of investigation. We're
Okay.
going by room. Okay.
All right.
So
Time warp.
Mike, Lee, and myself investigated the Bible room while you guys were in the family room
Yes.
or family living area.
Family living.
Okay, which was
Mhm.
the Bible room, that hallway where you heard the footsteps, and then across the ways was the living area. Now we were doing an SB7 session,
Mhm. Yes, we were.
and I tell you what, we caught a lot on that SB7. We're not going to play all of them because we don't have enough time, but they are out there and you can listen to all of them. We're going to play a few of them though here, which is some of them are quite interesting.
Yes.
Nonetheless, the one that we were just talking about this on break. When we go over our evidence, we listen through everything straight through, and then we kind of, make notes, and then we go back and try to pick things. This is the one that I was like excited about because I got a new recorder, and I actually, oh man, I got something here, because it's been a little while for me, but now we have some debate of what this is saying and how it's saying it, but if you listen really close, it's outside of the SB7 is these responses. I mean, it's like, and you got this before in Mansfield. I don't know the number. I don't even know if we have it out there yet, but we used it during some of our presentations where, no, it wasn't Mansfield, it was Lincoln County Jail, where you guys were playing the music and you heard stuff in the background. Somebody was, like that Jolene one.
Yeah.
I don't think we have them
I
out
was
there yet.
looking.
But it was during the SB7 session, you're getting disembodied voices that's
Farther
outside.
away.
So this is number 29.
Can you make that thing light up to yellow?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you gotta walk it past. Sounds good. I'm gonna key the walkie again to see if it shows up.
I left this stuff on the end so that you could distinguish our voices from what was being said. And in the beginning, there's actually two on there. You hear in the beginning, I thought it said we came in together. You thought it said, hey, Lisa? Or you were talking to one after Lee?
No, that's the one.
That's the one.
But, the thing is, if you remember when the Marianne and Andrea and Laura were upstairs on the third floor, they asked about turning off the flashlight. You hear that voice, that young girl's voice
And it said no.
said no.
Mhm.
Well, if you notice, that is the same sound voice right there. So, that leads me to believe, it's the same spirit that was talking in both cases.
Go ahead and play that. Play again. This is EVP number 29.
29.
Can you make that thing light up to yellow?
Here's that side now. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we gotta walk across the side of the walk. I'm gonna key the walkie again. Let's see if it shows up.
Now, that one's quite interesting. Just the fact that it was outside of the SB7.
Yes.
But when we were up there, we believed that we were talking with Joe.
You know, as a matter of fact, I asked several times if he liked being called Joseph or if he wanted us to call him Joe. And he told me, you know, he wanted Joe.
Right.
So, you know, that's settled that. You know, I don't think Wanda wanted me to call her Joe.
Right.
So.
Right. And Joe seemed to have a little bit of personality, so to speak. And actually, Mike, we had the K2 sitting there, and we were asking him the whole time, could you please light it up? Could you light it up? Could you light it up? And one time, Mike says, can you please light that up? And we got a pretty interesting response. Number 37.
Can you please make the lights move for us, Joe? You're not inclined.
Yeah, he wasn't inclined.
That's what he said. I'm not inclined.
Can you please make the lights move for us, Joe? You're not inclined.
Yeah, that was funny. I mean, you know what? It's rare you come across a spirit with a sense of humor, you know?
Now, you know, a lot of times, and what I really like about investigating with this group is we don't do any type of provoking or anything like that to draw people. If they want to talk to us, great, talk to us. We're there to chat, help them out, we'll do whatever we can, and it's you know, family oriented, that type of stuff. That's the direction of the questions, and we try to connect with them. Just like you're talking to a regular person. And one of the questions that Mike asked during the session was if Joe got to see his family. And this one's kind of cool. It's number 41.
You ever see your family?
Now,
you ever see your family?
Now, on one of our shows before, somebody asked what an SB7 was. That's an SB7. That's what it sounds like. It's actually a modified radio that scans through different frequencies.
Very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. And that response was absolutely. And if you listen to it with headphones over and over, you could tell that answer came through about 4 or 5 different channels. Like, absolutely, you know, the response. So I thought that was a pretty cool one too. Now, getting back to Joe having a sense of humor, or I don't know. This is the big one of the night.
I know which one it is. I bet you.
I
bet you it's number 36.
Number 36.
Number 36.
Now, I've heard people say this on several occasions. If you pick up profanity from an SB7, that's pretty much proof that you're speaking with somebody, because you're not allowed to talk like that over the air, over the radio. You know, FCC rules and regulations, that kind of thing. So let's just give this one a whirl. It's number 36.
Let us know what you think.
It's a warm summer night. Don't you agree? No shit. Okay, Joe. I know how you feel about it.
So not once, but twice.
Yeah, so we got twice. So that's a good one there too.
Yeah.
Now at the end of our session, of course, we were sitting there the whole time, and Joe, could you please light up the lights of the K2 meter? Mm-hmm. And at the end, he wanted us to do a little dancing in order to light those lights up. So go ahead and play number 38.
Do you want us to stay? Or do you want us to leave? Stand up. All right, stand up. Oh, we got 2 lights. Thank you. Thank you.
That was pretty good. Stand up. We stand up. We got 2 lights. Thanked them. Said you're welcome.
Yep. I mean, we tried to get it to go the whole time, and he wouldn't light the lights, And when we told him we were going to have to be leaving and that there, and if he wanted us to go, he told us, stand up. We stood up, and the lights went up on the K2 meter, and it was like, wow, so we did what you would normally do, we said, hey, thank you.
Yeah. Now, while we were investigating the Bible room, you guys were over in the family area.
Yes.
Okay. So what were you getting over there in the?
Well, over there we did, again, shocker, flashlight session. So we were doing a little bit with that. We also took the obelisk with us that time. And we got some words that kind of came out of the obelisk on that one. And
where were you sitting? I was sitting, and I don't see it in the picture. But
all right.
My point of reference would have been the top right, and Mike was sitting on that little white thing in the bottom there.
We'll see.
I was sitting on the little white thing in the bottom there too. That's little table.
Where the fireplace is, you would have been.
Yeah, I would have been to the right of the fireplace.
Yes.
That's about where the field camera was.
Sort of where that little chair is in the bottom right corner. You see that little chair there?
Right here.
Yep. That's where you would have been.
Yeah.
I would have been on that table there.
That's where I was, yeah.
Yeah. And Andrea was in the top right corner. You can see she was sitting, about right there.
Okay.
Where was
this
Laura?
is a picture.
Laura was sitting in the chair that Sean was sitting in.
Oh, okay.
That top right is a picture from our field camera, by the way. So
yes, that's why it's so bright compared to all the others.
So you got some interesting stuff on the obelisk there.
We did.
You did. So the first one we're gonna play is number 55.
Number 55. Wow, I gotta scroll a lot for number 55. All right, here we go.
I'd say keep twisting it the other way.
Train? Did you come here on the train?
Just so to shut the light off. Wait 5 milligrams.
So on that one, and by the way, that's just out of the blue, right? You had it on like the whole time you were there.
Yeah.
It's just out of blue.
Yeah, I put it on downstairs before we went upstairs because
sometimes
it always has those.
Through.
When you turn on the obelisk, it kind of says like 4 or 5 words, and it just kind of sits there. Then after that, until something apparently wants to chat. So I always turn it on like when I'm leaving the safe room area.
Now,
so
what's
this has been
interesting
on
about
for a
that
while.
sound clip too is when that goes off, Andrea mentions that the millimeter took a hit too.
Right, it went up.
0.5.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
You got some other EVPs that are out there. I don't have all the numbers and everything written down. We're still kind of going over those, but for time, we're cutting down here a little bit. But at the end, when you guys were packing up, getting ready to leave, number 59, which is kind
now this one you have to really listen for because we're packing up. So we're picking up our recorders and we're picking up all the things that we laid around, the flashlights and so forth. And so we're picking all our stuff up and we're kind of gathering and we're starting to talk about going downstairs. So really listen carefully in this one. You said it was 59. It's another obelisk one, by the way.
of
Maybe. It says it is, but it's not doing anything. Well, let me tell you while it's thinking here. Basically, we're packing up all of our things and we're talking about going back downstairs, and the obelisk goes, cut. Like, okay, we're
Like
done
it's a
here.
wrap.
Let's get out of here. It's a wrap. You know.
It's not
So
gonna
I don't
play.
know. It doesn't want to play.
Okay, well that's number 59. if
Yeah,
you
it's
guys
number
wanna play that.
59. Yeah,
Okay.
she doesn't want to play.
All right, so that was while we were in the Bible room. So both teams were on the second floor at that time. Okay. Now, this was later towards the end, Mike and I went up and did an EVP session in the living area too. And we caught one that's, we're not even going to try it because you can't hear it. You got to listen to it with headphones, but it's real off in the distance, very faint. I think Mike asked a question and got a real faint response. Don't you hear me? But what I want to talk about, and I don't have the number of our footsteps. Dang it. It's out there, but
Yeah, coming up the stairs and heading toward the Bible room.
at the end of our session, you guys were down in the basement while we were up in the living area. And we thought that the girls were coming upstairs because we said once we're done with that session, we were all going to meet on the second floor by the walnut cam and do one last session together. And we thought somebody come up the steps. Actually, I sound like I heard a flashlight going off too. And we kept going and everything. And then at the end, I yelled down, who come up or what's going on? And
Yeah, actually, I was in the
this is at the end.
I was in the safe room, and I was trying to get ready to come up, and I'm watching the cameras, and I was getting ready to go through the door, and you came across walkie, and they're like, you said, "Are you up here yet?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not up there yet. Like, don't rush me, you know."
So we
but
actually
you
heard
guys
those
were
same
hearing
footsteps
things.
that you guys heard. There's an EVP. I don't know what number it is, but it's of the footsteps. And then Mike and I went investigating. I yelled down, "You guys stay down here. There's something come up them steps." So you went in the Bible room just to see what was up there, and that was kind of crazy. But the interesting thing to add to that, are you able to play him again yet?
I don't know. Let me try this. If this works, it's going to be the cut one. I tried it. No, doesn't look like she wants to play. Which one do you want me to try to play for you?
And I don't have the number.
Oh, okay.
The one at the bottom of the steps where it says, "I thought I got away with it," or something like that. Anyways, Marianne got
Chance I take.
Chance I Take. Yeah, I don't have that number written down, but you caught that because you were staying downstairs at the bottom of the steps while we were looking, and Marianne got an EVP that said "Chance I Took." Chance I Took. That's what it
Yeah.
was. So all this happened like within a matter of seconds, But it was the footsteps again,
Mm-hmm.
which was kind of interesting. All right. So we covered pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
Just want to make sure.
And there was so much more. It would take us hours to sit here and go over everything with you. That's why, hey, just go to the web page and pull up the EVP collection and listen. Go to the YouTube page and pull up the investigation and watch it yourself.
The last session we did together.
Here we go.
Which was that's the Chance I Took.
Yeah. So you
That's
guys.
EVP number what?
56.
56. That's the one of Marianne.
This is the
But
one that we
Marianne-
were down at the bottom of the staircase waiting to have our permission then to come
Yeah.
upstairs.
I
They were
got in
like, "Are you
trouble.
coming? Are you
I'm
here?"
like, "Stay down there." Marianne's like, "You tell me stay down here." Blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
Because he
"We're
was
trying to
like
see what's
rushing
going
me.
on."
He was rushing me to get me up there. Now I have to stand down here. He didn't explain
And I
at
was
the
just like,
time.
"Be quiet."
She's getting out the Benadryl.
Yeah. Manager already. Yeah, so you hear me in the beginning of it. I'm up at the top of the steps. That's where that picture is.
Then you hear that chance I took.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was amplified a little bit so you could hear it.
Yeah. So, like, I filmed a big cold spot. You can hear me say that. You know, there's a cold spot big time, and then you hear a chance I took. So it was like something trying to take a chance. So after that, those guys come upstairs, and we go by the walnut cam, and we did a SB7 session. We had the flashlight. We had everything all together.
We didn't turn on. We had the Ovilus off for that one though. We didn't use the Ovilus during that.
We had the Ovilus off. There are EVPs out there with that wrap up. But what I want to mention though is the video that we have out there on YouTube. I put it out there as a teaser for the show, and let me explain this a little bit. So if you saw the top of those stairs, actually that picture previously I just showed, about there I set my video camera up and was just recording just to see if it would catch anything coming out of the Bible room while we were around the corner. And as everybody was going down the steps, Laura was the last one down, it caught a ball of something trying to follow us down the steps. And that video is out there. I actually had to go through that things a couple of times and actually put an arrow on it, because when you upload it to Facebook and stuff, it tries to clean your video up. But that was, when was that? A couple of days ago?
Yes.
That was frustrating.
Yes.
But it was actually kind of a cool piece of video, and it's out there on our YouTube channel where you can watch it. And I posted it to Facebook and everything. So it was kind of cool investigation. And our investigation reports out there. It's got all of our EVPs and things like that. And you guys have anything else to add?
I thought it was a cool time. Good friends, good food, good ghosts.
And we broadcast live, so we brought the fans in. They got to go investigate with us too. You can still go out there and investigate. So I promise this time it's going to be 5 minutes. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break. Give us your questions. This is the time to do it. Get them in, and then we're going to come back. We're going to do a quick little wrap up, answer your questions, give away a T-shirt.
Yes, give away a T-shirt.
Promise. 5 minutes.
I'm going to time them this time.
She's timing.
You got time to go check out Jamaican Mike.
Yeah. So we'll be right back. Okay, we are back with Dark Shadow Ghost Tours After Tour.
Stagecoach Inn wrap-up evidence review edition.
2015, man.
We found Jamaican Mike out there on break.
Yes, I was just out there wandering around. I thought I'd stop in and check out the show, man.
I don't even know what to say. Oh, okay.
All right. Well,
I got me a good smoke.
I'm speechless too. But
Okay, so what's next on the agenda,
all
Sean?
right. Well, got a couple things, and then we're going to close it up here. Okay.
All right.
First thing that we have is debunk report.
Oh, my favorite time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So go ahead, start talking here a little bit while I switch over these pictures. Jamaican Mike's got me a little close.
He's freaking me out too. All right, so my debunk report. I actually had a couple of things that I had for my debunk report this time. There's oh my gosh. Up on the second floor in the Bible room, one of the claims is that the one door, the closet door, will just open on its own.
That's right.
And so one of the things that I did was during the walkthrough when we were doing all of the temperature readings and the basic milligauss readings, Andrea recorded me as I was jumping like a little jumping bean in front of the door. And so Sean's going to put some pictures up of that in a minute, but I was basically jumping up and down in front of the door. And
keep going.
Yes,
we
you
did
were,
not
man.
we did not get anything to really happen there.
Keep going.
Okay, why am I keeping going?
Well, I got in trouble again. I don't know if it was you or Andrea, because I came over walkie-talkie and I said, if it doesn't happen after the third time, it's not going to happen. Little did they know, I'm standing right underneath of them in this old 1800 and some building that's about ready to fall apart. Okay, and they're jumping up and down on these floorboards, and I have dust coming down on top of me while they're trying to make.
You would have caught me.
And I was watching her jumping up and down. I mean, she was just like, getting down to.
You had the camera ready, getting ready for the floor to collapse. I know what was going on.
Here's the thing. We wanted to make sure that just moving in front of that door was not going to have it open. So if I was jumping up and down, as you can see here, it was not really budging.
Oh, you were jumping. I thought you were levitating, ma'am.
No, I was jumping to make it, Mike.
I thought, I am so sorry.
So then after I did it twice, Andrea also did it twice. And, a little change in mass. We just wanted to check it out. And Mike,
needless to say,
Mike didn't find a problem with it.
I'm standing right underneath Marianne.
Well, she's floating in the air, man.
With dust and debris floating down on my head.
In any case, we were not able to make that door just open on its own simply by walking by it. Even the massive jumping that we were doing as little jumping beans wasn't really opening it. So we couldn't make that door open on its own quite by itself.
And we even had a motion sensor detector on that thing all night long, man. And it never made a single little beep.
Okay.
Okay. Next.
We also had reports that people.
I think Glenn's going to take care of.
I think so too. I think Glenn's going to take care of them next. We also had some reports. You're going to show this one instead. All right, I'll do this one first. This here is on the second floor in the family room area, and this particular portion was a field cam. And it was taking pictures all night on its own every time it noticed some motion. And up in the left panel there, can you just circle around that panel? No? Okay. If you could see, we just kind of zoomed in on that panel a little bit. It kind of looked like there was a person, a small child or something, standing in the door frame. And you have to look at it at the right angle to really notice it. But I'm like, oh my goodness, did we get an apparition? So go ahead and push that again. The apparition's right in that area. If you look up towards the top, you can see what looks like a head and hair, and then it comes down and there's a little angle, and then you can kind of see maybe its arm bent, and then the legs. And you can go ahead and show them where I'm talking about there. You can take that away again. Click that again. It'll go away. There you go. So we were kind of looking at that, and I'm like, oh my goodness, really, this is really exciting. I was really excited because I want to see an apparition. And then I looked at the other pictures, and unfortunately, if you could click that again, unfortunately, he kind of shows up in all of the pictures in that same spot. So it's actually something on the wall. It's not really an apparition. And I did 2 different times there for you. I did one that was at, I think it was 10:10, and one that was at 10:18. So you can see it wasn't just, you know, in one burst. It was there pretty much all night. So I debunked my apparition. I was kind of saddened by that.
So you found it and then debunked it.
I did. I found it and debunked it. So that is that one. And then we had reports, what I was going to say before you started showing those pictures, we had some reports of...
Mike, you're back.
Yeah, it's Jamaican Mike is gone. It's just regular Mike. We had reports of people feeling like they were being pushed down the stairs or tripping down the stairs because they thought maybe some spirit or entity was a little upset with them. But throughout the night, I heard Andrea say several times, boy, you guys had some really little feet. You had some really little feet. And so I really looked at the stairs, and this part that you step on of the stair, it's actually really quite narrow. It's kind of short for our big people feet of today. Remember, we are a little bit bigger than in the 1800s. We have grown several inches on average since that time period as a human population. So that might contribute to it a little bit. And then some of the others were noticing also that the fronts of the stairs may be angled down a little bit. They're not exactly straight, so they're kind of old and rickety. Not rickety like I'm going to fall through the stairs, but they're definitely not nice, even stairs. And so that might lead to somebody missing their footing a little bit and really feeling like something's jarring them down the stairs. So those are the 3 of them that I have for you. But I did have one other one in the basement when I was down there with Andrea. We were in the dark and we were filming, and I was trying to videotape her. And I noticed some red lights near her head, and it was not there all the time. It was there sometimes. I'm like, wow, what is this? You know? And then during that part of the investigation, I actually debunked that as well. It wasn't anything paranormal. There's a window, you could see through the boards of the house, and there's a stop sign on the street, and there's a light on the top of the stop sign. It's not even the stoplight at the end of the street. It's just a stop sign with a red flashing light. So it's on and off, on and off, on and off. So those are a couple of things that we noticed.
All right. Good job. So now we are going to the questions.
Question time.
Let's see what we can answer here and give away a T-shirt. What do you think?
I think it's time.
So what do we have?
We have a bunch of questions that came in on the last break. That's pretty awesome. You guys did good on that last break.
Oh.
You know, but while he's looking at the questions, I just want to say one thing. You know, we talk about debunking evidence and things like that there. And that's what a good investigative team does. They don't automatically see everything, hear everything, or take people's words for something and just automatically assume things are real. You know, we take pride in the fact that, you know, we examine the evidence. We go through it, we replay it, we check it all out, we compare it with what's been put out there, and try. Nobody is more skeptical than we are ourselves. And if you're a good paranormal team, that's what you're going to do. You're going to try to debunk your own evidence first, you know, and you know, so that's why when we put things out there, we as a group feel that we are being very credible. We're not putting anything out there just to grab headlines, you know, like, oh my, look what we got. No, you know, the old adage, when in doubt, throw it out. You'd be surprised how much stuff doesn't make it.
Hours.
And it could be genuine, but you know what? If it leaves any kind of a doubt, you know, we'd just rather not put it out there. So, you know,
we even discussed it one time, and I don't think it's time to do that yet. But maybe someday is like maybe putting stuff together that we felt as a group that we debunked, and at first we thought it could be something as like a teaching tool to kind of, you know, show people. And I don't know what the term is for it. It escapes my head. But when your brain first sees or hears something, you originally think that's what it is. But to kind of teach people how to, let's go over
Kind
it,
of analyze it a little
analyze it a little bit, slow it down, speed it up.
just like Marianne there, you know, she not, and you know what, if she wasn't looking at it from a
skeptic's point of view.
You know what, that picture would have been posted as, look what I got, and it wouldn't. I mean,
yeah, there's too much to put.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, when I looked at that picture first, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's that little kid we kept hearing, you know? And then I looked at the next one and it was there, and the next one and it was there, and the next one, I'm like, oh crap.
oh yeah, I mean, with pedophilia,
She was excited too. I heard her.
and matrixing, you know, your mind tries to make sense out of patterns and things, and you know, so
So we do have some questions.
yes,
Ready?
absolutely, if you're ready.
All right, this one's a good one for Mike.
Oh.
Actually, this comes from Chuck A. He asked, do you find that spirits hang out where they died, or are they happier, or where they were happier at times where they lived?
Oh, that is a very good question. I believe that spirits will generally gravitate toward where they were happiest. You know, I mean, there's a, you know, the Bible speaks of free will, where, you know, sometimes, you know, spirits are loved ones, friends, relatives, you know, so I didn't put relatives and loved ones together. You know, that's not always the case. You know, but, you know, I believe that whenever you're in times of strife or conflict or stress, you know, that people will, you know, your relatives, your loved ones, your mothers and that there can always come back and visit you and be with you and comfort you. You know, so I believe that they have a tendency to gravitate toward where they felt the most comfort, where they love that piece of property, so they attach to it.
Let me add to that. Unless, and this is all based on theory, but unless it's a residual. If it's some sort of residual, I don't want to use the word haunting, but a residual meaning something tragic happened and it continues to go over and over. And there's several cases. What just popped into my mind when you're talking about it is Ford's Theater. There's a residual haunting every once in a while with Mary, President Lincoln's wife. They see her and she screams, "They shot the president," and then fades away.
But is that actually her spirit, or that's just residual
It's the
energy
It's an energy.
replaying over
It's
and over again? It's not the actual
It's not
spirit.
the actual spirit. Right. So that's kind of hard. You got to kind
Yes.
of determine between the two.
Absolutely.
And that's where like the SB7 and some of the other ones come into play, whether you're having that interaction and they're in their activity where you could determine is it residual or intelligent,
Right.
you know, so. But that's a good question.
Yes, it is. Very good.
Excellent.
Okay, so Casey,
Thank you, Chuck.
yeah, thank you, Chuck. Casey asked, why do we call it the Bible room?
Well, since you wouldn't let me tell him that earlier, can I tell him now?
You could tell them why we called it the Bible room, and we didn't get this question, I don't think. Cool. Why do we call it the Walnut room?
Yeah, we didn't
Walnut
get that
cake, but
question.
Go ahead.
All right, so the Bible room, there's a Bible on the mantle that has been knocked off, moved, etc.,
Found on the floor.
found on the floor, and so they call that the Bible
We
room.
actually called it the
to
Bible
check
cam.
on that, and so we call it the Bible cam when we did it, but Dave actually and the owner, they call that the
They call
Bible
it the
room.
Bible room.
Yeah, so usually when we name something a room, it's either because of someone that we know was there. Like at Hillview, you have Mary Virginia's room. You know, here we had the Bible room because
Based
of the
on the
Bible.
claim.
So it's based on a person that we know was haunting there or was there, or some piece of evidence about that room.
And I purposely didn't talk about this earlier in the show, but why did we call it the walnut cam?
So the walnut cam. Let's let Mike tell you about the walnut
Mike, why
cam.
did we call it the walnut cam?
Oh my! I guess you're gonna drag it out of me.
We're gonna drag you all the way back to
All the way back to
November.
cold November.
When we were there in November, toward the end of the evening, we were doing a EVP session on the second floor, and we were in between the two little side rooms, the two little nickel rooms at the top of the stairs there. And while we were there getting settled in, out of nowhere, this walnut in the shell comes flying and smacks the wall right beside me so hard. I mean, it just didn't like ding, ding, ding. It was like that.
Glenn?
Glenn, what are you doing back there?
Jeez.
It hit the wall hard. It smacked, bounced off the wall, it hit the floor, and actually spun. It hit the wall that hard. And that was none of us or anybody in the building that threw that ball. That little area there is the walnut area. So
Yes.
All right. It's just Glenn.
I don't know what Glenn's doing.
He's getting bored. Okay, so Carmela asked, what is an SB7? I answered this in another show, so I can answer this
Go
again.
ahead.
Okay. An SB7 is a modified AM/FM radio that paranormal investigators use to communicate with what we believe is an intelligent entity. Okay, and basically the device, you can set it to sweep through the channels either forward or backward at a certain rate. And that's why when you were listening to those EVPs, you hear that's where it's going through the different channels. And it's believed, the theory behind it is that white noise and that energy can pick up the electronic voice phenomenon, or EVP, and it can come through that white noise and you hear it on the radio. And that's a good device where you can actually hear it and communicate with them. So,
Real time.
in real time. Normally you have a digital recorder or something like that nature, and you're just sitting in the dark asking questions. It's very rare. It does happen. It has happened where you can actually hear a response, but in most cases you just pick it up on the digital recorder.
yeah, you don't get a disembodied voice that often.
It's pretty rare, but so that's what an SB7 is. Now an Ovilus works on a different principle. It works off of EMF signals, and that goes to a word dictionary, and then those words come out, and then there behind that is that energy is what they want to say, and that kind of thing. So
All right. So thanks, Carmela.
thank you, Carmela.
Yeah, thank you.
Now we have some questions from Carmela too, that I'm just going to go through real quick because I know we don't know the answer to them.
To some of them. Yeah.
Some of them.
Mhm.
Well, you might know this. How many ghosts in total were there?
Well, the night we were there, we probably talked to 4 that we could pretty much verify that they were 4 different.
Yeah,
Joe, Wanda, the kid,
Wanda,
and
the kid,
somebody that we can't quite
Cletus?
identify. Cletus, maybe Cletus.
4 or 5.
So
Yeah.
that was that evening. But Dave said that he's had some psychics go in there, and that at any one time there's between 30 and 50 different entities.
And
that are
remember,
there.
this was a stagecoach
Stop, basically.
stopped. So it's kind of like, young kids wouldn't even know. Well, an airport. How many people go through an airport in a
true.
given day? This was like the airport of the day. So it was
Yeah.
like people going through there constantly. There could be.
and
I
that was
like that analogy.
just people that were allowed to be there. That doesn't even take into account it was a stop on the Underground Railroad
True.
for all the runaway slaves.
Right.
True.
And imagine people that were there when Lincoln was doing
His
campaigning,
speeches,
you know.
yeah.
just crazy.
Yeah.
So 30, I can see that easily. In a small place, absolutely, because of the energy that went through there. Did we hear anything by the hanging tree? No, we did not.
Well,
Did
I
we?
want to tie that to her secondary question there. Did you hear any animals? Because while we were
Yes.
out by the hanging tree,
But
Sean
they
and I
were
went out
animals.
in the dark, and we did hear some animals rustling around.
There was something back
but
there.
they were live animals. They weren't ghost animals.
We
but
weren't
other
back there
than
that
that, we
long.
didn't. Yeah, we didn't hear that much.
Yes,
but
we did. I
it was,
forgot that.
You know, some like
was
mosquitoes
me.
and things
That was
probably
you, that
out
was you and
there.
Lee?
They
You
like
hear
to
that?
eat me, so I tend to try to stay indoors
Was
as
that
much as
Jamaican
possible.
Mike and Lee?
Mm.
Yeah, man.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
All right, so
yeah.
do we have any more questions, Sean?
Do we know the names of the children?
No, we don't. Dave
Wow.
said that he was not aware of them, but that I think it was the children's family. He said I think it was like about a half dozen of the people who died in the house are buried in a cemetery about a half mile down the road, but he didn't know the names of who they were.
It's still under investigation. I'm at peace in the history. So.
Yeah, remember the investigation of this building, really the investigation portion, only about a year or so.
Do we know the age of the ghosts?
Dave estimated them to be around 13-ish. I think from the sounds and things that we heard, I would go a little lower than that, but
You mean for the kids?
yes.
Yeah.
For the kids. Okay. So we got questions from Chuck A, Casey, Carmela.
Yeah, I think that's all. So
Was there another one there?
Uh,
Or is that something else?
that's something else, actually. That was Carmela also wanted to know if we felt anything around us.
Just Laura.
Laura.
So just Laura.
Well, you guys felt like somebody touched your
Andrea
leg. and
Andrea felt
That's in the
some
case
things-
report.
Yeah, Andrea
That's
thought
fine.
she felt somebody near her knee in the Bible room, and that somebody may have touched her shoulder in the basement.
stuff. I had that cold spot up there. Something like rushed through me when we got up to look to investigate. It
Okay.
was just like a brush of wind. It could have been a breeze coming through the window or whatever, but it's just, you get that every once in a while. You just feel something just right through you. It kind of feels like if you stand in front of a vent and the air conditioner kicks on, that type of, I get that.
Because you get used to it real fast.
Yeah. And then you think, wait, there's no air conditioning. What was that? Okay. But anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to put the names in the bucket.
So we had 3 different people. So I have 1, 2,
And this is
3.
going to be the winner of the Dark Shadow Ghost Tours After Tour T-shirt.
2015.
It doesn't say 2015.
It doesn't. It just says
Yeah,
after
but
tour.
they do like say 2015.
He
But next
does.
year will be
All right, so
different
who's picking?
That might pick it.
Jamaican Mike or regular Mike?
Regular one.
All right, regular Mike.
color. Just one?
Just one. I know it's just like the potato chip. You can't have just one, right? But you're
Right.
going to have to this time. Just one.
So when I pull this out, I got to eat it.
No, just hand it to me.
Yes.
All right, and the winner is
Da-da-da-da!
Chuck A.
Chuck A.
Whoa!
Chuck A,
You
you're
still
the
there,
winner
Chuck?
of the Dark Shadow Ghost Tours After Tour T-shirt. Here's what we need you to do, Chuck. We need you to send an email to info@darkshadowghosttours.com with your shirt size and your address, and we're going to get that out in the mail to you here in a couple days. So please
Congratulations,
Yes,
Chuck
send us
A.
that information. You are going to be one of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He'll
You'll
be
shirt
one of
number
6.
6
He'll be number 6
total.
ever.
Ever.
Far.
So far.
So,
Be the first. Tell your friends. I mean, a year from now when, our viewership's up to a couple 100,000
hey, you
people
got
a
the
night.
first 6 shirts.
You got one of the
You're in the
first.
first half dozen.
Yes, sir.
All right,
All
so we got a quick little announcement here. Save the date. Our next show, which will be in 2 weeks, Saturday night, right here at 7 p.m.
Yep, Saturday Night Live.
I believe we're going to be talking about
Squire Castle. Yeah, that's actually a
Yes.
picture of Squire Castle. We were there this past week, and there was somebody there doing their wedding photo shoot for their save the date announcement, since they had written in chalk on the floor, and I'm like, oh well, I have to use that too.
Oh, sack of potatoes.
Yeah, and the thing about Squire Castle is it's in the park, so anybody can just go to it and check it out.
It was cool. That was
Very
a cool thing.
It was one of the places on my bucket list. And,
So we actually got to go to check out a haunted castle.
That's it. You guys have anything else?
I think that's it.
That wraps up another episode of Dark Shadow Ghost Tours After Tour.
Stagecoach Inn Evidence Review Edition.
2015, man.
You know one thing that we didn't do?
What's that?
My name is Sean.
My name's Mike.
And I'm Marianne, and thanks for watching.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Say hi, Lee.
Hi, Lee. All right.
Bye-bye,
Have
guys.
a good night.
Good night. Happy hunting.